This episode of The Patch is brought to you by Shootmania. Shootmania is a fast-paced FPS where players are on the main stage. You decide what to play and how to play it. With a wide variety of maps and gaming modes, Shootmania offers endless challenging experiences. Battle one-on-one, create a team, or participate in a tournament. It's easy to play but hard to master. Get started today at shootmania.com. This episode of The Patch is also brought to you by Hulu Plus. Hulu Plus lets you binge on thousands of hit shows anytime, anywhere, on your TV, PC, smartphone, or tablet. Support this podcast and get an extended free trial of Hulu Plus when you go to huluplus.com/roosterteeth. That's huluplus.com/roosterteeth. Hey everyone, welcome to The Patch.
Hey!
We got Gus, Burnie, and Jack this week.
Patch.
Here to talk about video games.
You're clean shaven. Look
I
at
am.
you. Mind?
I shave every now and then.
Oh,
I got makeup on.
How
Nice.
clean is that?
Huh?
Like, when did you shave?
This morning?
Okay. You get some shadow already.
Oh my god, yeah.
It's because I'm so fucking pale and my hair is so dark. It doesn't matter.
You're like a
still see it.
cartoon character, like you like shave it and it just grows in behind it.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
yeah.
How old were you when you first started shaving?
I had to first start shaving when I was 14.
Wow.
Jesus,
I
really?
think I was 20.
Really?
I'm pretty sure I got through most of high school.
I got sent home from high school because I needed to shave.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Did you have like a catfish mustache?
Yeah, I look like what's his name, Snoopy's brother from the desert. You know what I'm talking about, like the wispy mustache, that fucking hat. That's what I look like.
Oh. So what's up, man? I haven't been on.
Busy week.
I haven't been on this thing in a while. It was the last time I was on here was what was it called before? It was
Rooster Teeth Game Hour.
I was on the second Rooster Teeth Game Hour.
It was called The Patch by then, wasn't it?
No, I was in the second one. We didn't have a name at that point.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
unless I wasn't on the first one, was I?
I thought you were on the first one. Whatever. That's
Whatever.
ancient history. No
Anyway,
one cares.
I'm
Come
back.
on, we're moving on.
Happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you're not able to come here because you're busy
Yeah.
on Wednesday with Horse.
Yes.
Well, since we are talking about ancient history related to video games, a very big piece of news came out for a game that we'd like. Gus and I love. An old game. I think, when did Star Control 2 come out?
92.
92, yeah. And it's a PC game.
The same year I shaved.
It was a PC. What other platform was Star Control 2 on?
Wasn't it on the 3DO?
It was on the 3DO.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I did
think,
not play it on the 3DO.
What was 3DO? Was that Philips's console?
I think so.
3DO.
no, that was CDI. I think was Philips.
Yeah, the Philips CDI. The 3DO,
3DO
was.
I
The
forget who it was.
3DO interactive multiplayer is what it's called.
Those things were like $800.
Panasonic.
They were like $800, right? They were something
It was
ridiculous.
expensive.
Yeah.
Well, it had a CD player.
I
in
think
it.
you're thinking about the Neo Geo.
No. 3DO or CDI cost a whole lot of money.
$7.99 at launch.
There you go.
Excuse me, $6.99 at launch.
Oh.
I read it wrong. I read a number wrong. $6.99 at launch, which I guess in modern day dollars would be.
That was like the mid '90s. So
And Neo Geos didn't have CD drives.
no, they were the cartridge based,
Yeah,
weren't
Neo
they?
Geos were cartridge based.
It launched '93 and it discontinued in '96. End of '96.
It lasted that long.
Wow.
Yeah, I would not.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, that seems ridiculous. They have a nice picture of the founder of the company there.
Looks
of a life
kind
cycle.
of like Dominic.
He does a little bit. Yeah, he does. But it was a disc-based multiplayer system.
Multiplayer.
Their marketing.
You're off your game today.
Their marketing is getting to me.
Wikipedia's roasting you.
It was a disc-based gaming console, and I think it was the first one, right?
No. What year did you say?
would have been-
93?
93. This would have been the era of Super Nintendo.
The CDI might have come out before it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
When did
put our
when
money
did
where our
Sega
mouth
CD
is.
come out?
Sega CD?
Yeah.
Nobody had that shit.
Fuck.
No, I remember that thing. Like I remember the big box when you'd set the Genesis on top.
I bought one a couple of years ago.
Really?
Like 10 years ago, yeah. I found one at a garage sale. I found Sega CD, 32X.
Oh man.
all that
And then
stuff.
they released like the dual Genesis Sega CD with the CD on the side, and it was like the remake of it too. But I remember the giant box that the Genesis actually sat on top of.
They're asking me to cut footage of the game. We're talking about consoles, dude. I don't know what you're asking me for.
Oh, I think they have footage of Star Control 2. So the rights to Star Control 2 were purchased this week, and this is a game that I finally convinced Gus to be able to play. I think we talked about it on the patch before,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What about it's called Masters of Urquan as a fan one. So do you have game footage? Oh, look at this! What
Wow.
amazing footage, you guys!
Thank God we cut away.
So this is I guess this is a trailer?
This is Gaming 92. This is a cinematic.
Wow.
So it's just a still frame of the game. Oh, it faded out though. That was pretty.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there we go. That's what I'm
There's your
familiar with.
graphics.
So I actually found a game on the Steam sale this summer that reminded me of Star Control 2. It was can you play? Is this
No, I have no control over that.
Okay. I was gonna
Don't
play.
touch.
There's a game called Star Drive that went up on Steam's summer sale.
Okay.
And you should try it out because I was playing that with my kid and it seemed a lot like Star Control 2. It seemed like a cross between Star Control 2 and Masters of Orion, if you
Okay.
ever played that. Like, you get all the way down to the point where you're making all the ships. And in Star
wow.
Control 2, let me explain this to you, first of all. 'Cause
Okay.
you, as someone who's never played Star Control 2,
Okay.
Stop me when this starts to sound familiar. You're
Stop.
an Earthling,
Okay.
and you live in an era of Earth technology when they have discovered a pre-existing race of aliens who were very technologically advanced but disappeared for some reason, which is...
This is sounding very familiar.
They were called the Precursors.
Okay.
So basically, it's like the plot of Star Control 2 is like basically the plot of almost every other sci-fi game ever since it. So
They're called the Precursors.
they're called
Literally
the Precursors. That's what they're called. And this is '92 that this game came out. So it's like when I play like Halo and Mass Effect, games like that, I'm always constantly reminded of Star Control 2.
That's funny.
And basically, you have to go out into this hostile galaxy, and there's a big star map, which I thought was the fun part of it.
Yeah.
And it's like when you pull up the star map, when you can finally leave the Earth solar system, you see it's like you're in the bottom left-hand corner, and the sun is a dot, and there's all these other stars. It's
that's
like
cool.
hundreds.
Yeah.
You can't.
And that's the most frustrating part. It's like an overland map that you can get lost in. It's like,
Yeah.
have I been to that dot before?
Oh, man.
I don't know.
So there's
Yeah.
no like shows you where you've been before. Like there's no like unchecked,
God, no.
discovered or whatever.
No, that was back in the days when gaming, the way they track that is you went out and bought a notepad and like wrote stuff down.
You write
I've
like
been here.
coordinates and names of systems.
At least it wasn't like a fog of war where like as you move, like shit behind you vanishes. That would be rough.
Well, I gotta say that having played the game, there is a time component to the game where you have to like, there's a threat approaching from outside the galaxy. Does it sound familiar?
Very shocking.
And they're slowly taking over systems and all that. And so there's a time component to the game, and I don't think you could actually explore all those systems.
Yeah, the first time I ever played, I was doing really well. I was like, I could beat the game at any time. I was like, I'm going to keep exploring, I'm going to keep going. And then the time limit hit, and it was like, you lose because the other people have shown up. I was like, fuck.
Yep.
You can't go back. My oldest save was still like not enough time to go through everything and finish the game.
Jesus.
So it's like I had to start over from the beginning.
So something like Dead Rising style, where it's like you have to get through it at a certain time limit and just like forget some stuff.
Yeah, or you're like, it's like even Dead Rising when I play it on second playthroughs, there's some stuff you're like, I just can't do everything. I got to cherry pick like what I want to answer and what I'm not going to answer. Which, by the way, another note here: Dead Rising 2 is about to go free for Xbox Live Gold members.
Oh, that's
right. So today's the last day for Assassin's Creed 2.
So if you have gold, get on and
Download
make sure to
it.
download his ticket so you can get it whenever.
So even if you, like, let's say Assassin's Creed 2 today, I'm not going to play it, but I download it, then kill the download, I still register that I bought it.
It's on your purchase history.
There we go.
As long as it's on your purchase history, you can download it whenever.
Yeah, you can even do it through the website.
Yeah, it's funny actually because one of the first maps I made when I was here was an Assassin's Creed 2 feather map.
Yep.
And that's one of my favorite things I've ever done. And now people are messaging me saying they were using that map again because they've gone back and started playing it again. So that's kind of cool.
It's a really good map. I mean, I love the whole checkbox thing.
It's cool, but the problem is now, in the newer Assassin's Creeds, they actually built a lot of that stuff into the game. So it kind of takes away the idea.
Yeah, what a problem.
Oh, you know. Well, I enjoy doing that stuff. So it's kind of like, well, now it's all, you know, there's really no point to it. So anyway, I made a Dead Rising 2 map as well.
For what?
For all the collectibles, like for the magazines and the weapons and
I see.
like food and stuff like
They're
that.
not actually collectibles, though.
You gotta know where the magazines are, though.
There are collectibles. Yeah, you need like knowing where the magazines is a big deal. But there are collectibles. Check on the website. Like I did a whole thing about
But
it.
you don't get an achievement for collecting stuff. You just like there is like in Dead Rising, the original one, you would get achievement for like drinking all the different drinks, and therefore you had to know where all the food was and what mixed into what. Basically,
there was some sort of collectible on there. Can I use your iPad?
Yeah.
Yeah. While you
Here,
let
you
me
nervous
unlock
about
it for you
Okay.
because I don't want it to show up on
Look
the.
at that. He did
on the
not
cam.
want to give
No,
me his
you
iPad.
did not let go of it.
So we got away from the original point, which was another company bought the rights to the Star Control 2 or the Star Control universe.
And real quick wrap up on what Star Control 2 is at the very end. It's basically you have, every time you discover a new race, you get a new kind of ship, and they cost a certain amount to build, but they all have a primary weapon and a secondary weapon. They're all very unique, and they're all very, very cool. And you have like ship-to-ship battles with these things, like arcade style with a planet in the middle.
In fact, even at the very beginning, you can choose to play like combat style, arena style like that, where you like pick your ships and fight against other random ships.
Yeah, and you can build like a little armada, and you can play. There's good ships and bad ships. There's like a kind of like a rebel alliance and a empire kind of. Yeah, the evil ships, and you can group all those together and play against each other. It's an extraordinarily fun game, and somebody bought the rights to it. You and I are pretty happy that they're going to be making a new one. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think what they said in the press release was they were impressed with the way the XCOM series was rebooted and has been handled.
XCOM.
Yeah,
That's
so
what it was.
They want to do the same thing for Star Control 2.
Because it was the same era. XCOM, for those of you who have just recently played XCOM was a game in the 90s, a turn-based strategy game that everybody loved. And it went away for, what, 15 years?
Something like that.
Before it came back? Yeah.
All right, so in Dead Rising 2, there are Zombrex posters, then they have combo cards, gifts for Katie, then Zombrex and magazines.
Oh, that's right.
That's what I have labeled. So
well, Zombrex is not really collectibles. You just needed to continue playing the game.
Yeah, you had to have a certain amount of Zombrex every 12 hours.
That makes sense.
So it's good to know where the extras are on that.
I get really disappointed when they kind of like took the Japanese out of the Dead Rising franchise.
You didn't have to take those pictures anymore?
Taking the pictures in the first Dead Rising was so much fun.
I loved that. Who hated it? Someone here at the office hated it. They were glad that it was gone. Might have been Michael. I loved the having to take the sexy photos of zombies. It was so fucking ridiculous.
And the guy would rate you on your photos.
Yeah.
And then you go take a picture of the collectibles, and that were. It's weird. I don't think of them as collectibles, but they definitely were there. You're right.
Yeah.
The PP stickers that are in.
Oh yeah.
You had to go take a picture of all those PP stickers, which was their version of experience points. I guess player points or something like that. Yeah, but the other game that's coming out for free on Xbox Live Gold in August is Crackdown. That to me has the
Crackdown 1 or 2?
Crackdown 1.
Okay.
That to me has the quintessential collectible achievement. The 500 green orbs.
I did. Yeah, I did a map for Crackdown 2, and that was a nightmare. There was like 450 collectibles on that one.
Sorry, I was reading something. Have they announced when that's coming out?
I'll look it up.
Well, it's going to be probably what, the 16th of August, I would guess.
I don't know which one comes first.
So, okay.
Well, I'm gonna go to. Whenever I want to find out stuff like that, I always go to Major Nelson's blog.
He's on top of that stuff.
Well, he's got the inside line.
Yeah.
Games with gold for August: Crackdown and Dead Rising 2 and Dead Rising 2 Case Zero. Yeah. The next set of free games for Xbox Live members in August will be Crackdown, Dead Rising 2. Starting tomorrow, August 1st, the award-winning Xbox 360 exclusive game Crackdown, normally 800 points. Wow, it's that far down.
Wow.
Will be free for Xbox Live Gold members. August 16th, Dead Rising 2. And Dead Rising 2 Case Zero.
Well, Crackdown's old. Crackdown's at least 5 years old at this point, right?
Crackdown 1 is probably
I'm sorry, Crackdown
that.
1 is what I meant.
Okay.
Crackdown 1, let me think how old that is.
Because we were still...
do you remember what was really specific about Crackdown when it came out? It had a very special exclusive tied to it. What was it?
It was the Halo 3 multiplayer
beta.
Oh, right.
It came out, it had the multiplayer beta on the disc.
So that was
before I owned my house, so that was well over 5 years ago.
It was 2007.
Yeah.
Right? So... Because that's when Halo 3 came out.
Yeah, so I think it was like March.
Yeah.
Is when it came out. So yes, it's been a little over 6 years.
You know, I gotta say too, I found Crackdown 2 to be one of the best gameplay experiences on the Xbox 360. Dead Rising is one of my favorite games of all time, and both of them had, I felt, very lackluster sequels.
Yeah.
Like the best thing to come out of Crackdown 2 was Michael working here, basically.
Michael getting a job, Rage Quit being born.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But the Crackdown 2 just never grabbed me for whatever reason.
Yeah, same here. The same thing with Dead Rising 2. It was okay. I played it. Did you ever finish it?
See, I did the thing. It's like there was a long period of time after they made Dead Rising, and I would always talk about Dead Rising because you want to talk about another quintessential achievement on the 360 platform. The first Dead Rising had the zombie genocide achievement where you had to kill 57,000 zombies.
Like 53,000 somewhere.
It was the population of the city, right?
It was the population of the city that the game is set in, and I used to always think like, wow, this game was great. You know, it had swarms of zombies. It was like a Romero-style zombie game, and I loved it. And there was this big long period where there was nothing about Dead Rising, and then all of a sudden they announced Dead Rising 2 was coming out, and I was very excited about it. Then they did a really weird thing, where they put out that Xbox Live Arcade title before it, where you could level up your character on the Xbox.
That's Case Zero, and it sounds like it's coming free with it too, right?
Right. You could level up your character in Xbox Live Arcade, and I just didn't like that character enough in the small arcade and didn't play enough to get attached to him, and then just didn't care about Dead Rising 2 when it came out, which is weird because I liked Dead Rising so much.
Dead Rising 2 was also a different developer than the original Dead Rising.
It was Blue Castle. Was the
it's a Canadian developer.
Yeah. Do you know who's doing 3?
I don't know, but it looks awesome.
It looks very, very cool. Day 1 title.
And I heard that the way they're approaching Dead Rising 3 is that they're setting it up so that you can play silly or you can play serious.
Really?
Like it depends on how you decide to play it.
Well, that's cool.
It's not just like a menu option? Like you put on silly and all the zombies have like party hats on.
Right. And you're making like the canoe paddle with the chainsaws on it and all that stuff.
Yeah, I remember during the demo or when they showed it off at E3 and it looked very, very serious. And I'm like, we haven't seen any combos. And the guy literally, was it like a chainsaw on a paddle? Or it was something like that. Or it was like I forget what it was, but it was like, oh, okay, it's still good. It's still good. And so, it's like, all right, it'll be nice to see that stuff.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, whenever they introduce a big feature in a game, like for the sequel, it's always kind of like if I don't buy into that feature, it kind of kills the whole thing for me, like the whole reason to get the game. And the combo weapons thing didn't really appeal to me all that much.
Yeah, it's all about like finding one weapon you like and then kind of just making that one over and over.
I'm not much of a crafter. Like I'm going back and I'm replaying Fallout 3 again for like the millionth time. And I try to play it a bunch of different ways. I still have never played a kind of character who like collects stuff and then makes my own weapons.
Yeah,
I don't do that. It's not in me.
Gus mentioned on Twitter that he was going to start playing Fallout 3 again, and it was like walking into a retirement home and going, hey, does anybody remember the war? Because all these like old dudes on Twitter were like, oh yeah, they were like all reminiscing about, it was like Eric and Aaron and Finch, and they were all like, don't forget, play this DLC first, you'll get that armor, you can't break it. And it was just like, and they were all so happy for you.
When I was playing this time, I realized that when you're born at the very beginning of the game, you can hit the A button and it controls when your baby cries, when your baby self cries. So I told David Bass that, and he was like, fuck. All right, I'm reinstalling it now. He said he's convinced that somehow by crying nonstop, he's affected the outcome of the game. So he's got to play it all the way through to find out.
That's funny.
Which I'm sure it doesn't affect the outcome of the game.
Not at all.
But it's there's so much in that game. But there's so much that I remember so well. Like walking into the Undercity with all the ghouls. I was like, oh, okay, the shop's over here, the doctor's over there. You know, I know where everything is, and just like I'm a lot more efficient about it now.
There's something about that, like when you play an older game, it's almost like visiting grandma's house. Like you haven't been to that city in a while or whatever, but you still know it enough. It's like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like anytime we play Grand Theft Auto 4, like I played the campaign when it first came out, but I still know my way around that city. It's like, oh, there's Roman's house, and oh, there's the cab stand, oh, there's Brucey's place, and it's like, it's crazy to think like, you know, all that memory is allocated for that, and you know, could be allocated for something good.
I always talk about that when we go to talk about machinima, and how I try to explain, especially to older people, that it's not that weird to go film in a virtual space because those spaces are so real to so many people.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure there's a lot of kids that can navigate Liberty City way better than they can navigate their own city because they don't have a car in in real life.
Or a jetpack.
Yeah. Like I could tell you like walking from Orgrimmar to the Barrens.
Yeah.
You know, like what that's gonna be like. You know, like what every step of that is going to be, you know?
Go out, take that turn, go through the canyon, go down, go to the city.
Find the crossroads.
Yeah, go to the crossroads, basically, to go there. Then you turn off chat, you know? It's like those spaces, they don't exist anywhere in reality, yet they're very real, concrete places in people's minds. I think I've always been fascinated by virtual spaces.
Did you ever play after Cataclysm came out?
Did I ever play what?
Play WoW after Cataclysm came out?
No, I didn't. I would kind of abandoned
It's interesting because you're talking about that. A lot of this stuff has changed now.
It's gone.
Yeah, so like the Barrens is now split in half. So there's like a North and a South Barrens. Like it has a rift down the middle of it.
Really?
And like Thousand Needles is full of water now.
I should check it out.
It's kind of interesting.
It's really different. I played a little bit after Cataclysm came out, but it was just like, it was like a system shock.
Yeah.
Like I played it and I had an okay time, but my brain rejected it, and that is not World of Warcraft. I stopped playing.
Really?
Yeah, it was like I can't handle it. I thought it was a really cool idea. I really like it, but just like after having been so ingrained into the system the way it was before, it was just like so jarring to me.
Yeah, like Orgrimmar has actually changed. Like it's all different now, and that like one big deal.
I couldn't find the fucking place to take a Zeppelin. I was so goddamn.
You have to go up the elevators; they're up there. But no, you can fly now. That's one big thing. If you wanted to check out,
God forbid he would ask anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way.
What do I do? A fucking like top level character be like, oh, where's the Zeppelin? Can you show me how to get out? I'm going to the Barrens.
There's NPC guards you can talk to. That's the whole point.
Yeah, then they tell you, and it's like, where is it? Because you get there, and I didn't know there were elevators.
Oh, okay.
Gus's chat comes up on the screen. It's like www. And then where's the Zeppelin?
Like I've got a character with a serious speech impediment, but only when he has to ask questions.
Oh man, you're on a role-playing server, just having issues.
You really have to play WoW to get that. What I was talking about there, because those things show up all the goddamn time.
Yeah. Well, one thing you can do, you can fly through all of WoW, or almost all of WoW.
What do you mean fly?
You can actually buy flying mounts. And
really?
Fly, yeah, like that, they installed that with Cataclysm, or they added that with Cataclysm. So
yeah, I think.
So if you want to fly around, I've still got a character if you want to jump in and float around.
I did Burning Crusade, and I did. Was that the second one or the first one?
Burning Crusade was the first one.
Yeah.
Then Lich King.
No, I didn't do Lich King. So I guess Burning Crusade. Right? Yeah.
And then
I was a slow. WoW for me was like a slow burn. I never hit the level cap on anything. Like I never got that high.
I got big into it. Like I knew as soon as I started playing, I knew I was going to get hooked. And so I waited and waited, and then when Cataclysm came out, or when it was coming out, I played it, got up to level 80, maxed my character, played Cataclysm all the way through to 85, and then I played it till the first major patch. So I played it for about a solid year, and then I just kind of got tired of it. Like once we started raiding just constantly, just doing the same things over and over, it's like, all right, I'm done. And so when Mr. Pandari came out, that didn't look interesting to me. So yeah, we did some WoW Let's Plays, but still, even then, it's kind of like, I mean, the problem with the WoW Let's Plays is we had to drag the lads through it because they hated it. They were just miserable the whole time. So like Jeff Ryan and I were just like excited to get back and play WoW, and it's like they just were terrible at
Big
it.
babies about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of like there's nothing worse than like forcing someone to play something they don't want to play.
And then you guys all played League of Legends together and didn't know what the hell you were doing.
Yeah, that was terrible. But then we played Smite though. That game was fun.
They started a lot of things like that. Like you also started Minecraft. None of you really had any idea what you were doing other than Gavin.
That was half fun.
Yeah. That first Minecraft episode, Gavin was the only one who knew what he was doing, and then he burnt our house to the ground.
It's right because one of my kids saw the poster,
yeah,
and could figure out from the poster that you guys have at that one of those first Let's Plays that the Gavin's character with the bucket dumped the lava on the house because Gavin's running away with the bucket.
Yeah,
I never even saw that in the poster before.
It's funny. The original the Let's Play poster, like Gavin is wearing Ray's costume, and like everyone's in the default outfits. I'm actually wearing the kilt that Ryan now wears. And
you're fighting a spider.
Yeah, I'm fighting a spider, and it's just like It's funny because that thing was like made right after the first episode came out. So
I just want to point out here too. This is getting this off of Massively. This is a joystick site. World of Warcraft is now down to 7.7 million subscribers.
Wow,
which I still think is amazing.
That's a fuck ton. That's a lot.
Do you know that the first ever Child's Play item ever at the auction? I bought that because
I remember the story.
Yeah, because they stood up there and they were auctioning it off. This was what 2005? Yeah,
I think.
2005, and like Jerry and Mike were up there, they went for the first bid, and like nobody really had been to an auction in the room before, so everyone just kind of sat there. And I don't like pauses, as you've noticed, and so it was like maybe like
Joel.
Yeah, like Joel, don't listen to other people talking. Wait, it was like 15 seconds. It felt like to me, so I just started bidding on this item, not even knowing what it was.
Yeah, and
I ended up winning a collector's edition of World of Warcraft, signed by the entire development team. It hadn't come out yet, and I won a 3-year subscription to the game, and I think the whole thing was like $350.
No, it was 04 then.
Yeah.
And the game came out 04, so I think, so it must have been 04.
And I remember that I wasn't planning on playing it, so I gave it to my brother's gift. I paid like $350 for it, and the thing was worth, like just retail was worth like $400.
Yeah.
My brother ended up selling it like 7 years later for like $1,800.
Jesus.
And I was like, you probably should give that money to charity. He's like, I'll think about it.
The charity of I need food.
The charity of your brother.
I'm just kidding. I don't even know if I brought that up to him. I think what I offered was I called Robert Koo at Penny Arcade, and I told him that my brother was going to sell it. Do you want it back for any kind of like archive sentimental reason? The first ever Child's Play item that was sold. And he's like, I'm busy.
He's not a sentimental kind of guy.
He's like, I have stuff I am doing. Now, thank you for calling me and wasting my time.
We're going to PAX. Speaking of Penny Arcade, at the end of August.
We all just got back. The three of us just got back from PAX.
We're going to be on the 6th floor.
What does that mean?
The 6th floor?
Yeah, remember the upstairs area?
Is it the same thing again?
Yeah.
That sort of weird split off.
We're upstairs. Thing? So I'm warning everyone right now. If you're coming to see us at PAX, go upstairs.
Yeah. Bring your fucking hiking gear, apparently.
Hire a Sherpa. Bring an oxygen tank.
Yeah, someone will lay out the oxygen tanks for you so you can get up there. Because you have to go up like 2 more escalators from the main floor. Yeah. Okay.
In order to visit our booth, you will need to form a fellowship.
So, I just got the floor plan on that.
Cool.
So just letting everyone know.
That's less than a month from now.
That's about 4 weeks away.
All right. Another game that was a big hit on the Steam Summer Sale, apparently, was Civ 5. Because, like, Civ 5 memes have just gone nuts.
Fucking Civilization.
What was the
Let's talk about Gandhi some more.
Yeah, Gandhi fighting the dude from...
So people were talking about Civilization a lot this past weekend. So I thought, I bought Civilization when it came out. I'm going to fucking play it. So I turn on my computer. It's my Apple laptop, so I'm booting into Mac OS. And I've got Steam. I've got Civilization 5. I've played it on my Mac a million times. Go to launch it, it just won't run. Okay. It plays opening cinematic, then just dies, won't launch. Rebooted, same thing.
That's weird.
Did a bunch of troubleshooting on it, read a bunch of different things to try to fix it. Then eventually I learned that the game just doesn't work in the newest version of Mac OS.
Oh. Well, I think I found your first problem.
It's been out for a year, this new version of Mac OS.
Jesus.
Does not work.
Look, there's a Mac sitting right here in front of me that I use like for writing and all that stuff. I have no illusions that I'm going to try to play games on a Mac.
This is a game sold in Steam that clearly has the Mac label saying that this will work in Mac OS.
My kid wanted Battlefront because he finally got to play Battlefront, I think, on the 360.
Nice.
Was that even a 360 game?
I think it was an Xbox game.
Yeah, it was real
backwards
Xbox.
compatible.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he liked it, so he wanted to buy it on Steam and found it. We bought it, and then it wouldn't load, like you said. So we went through and looked at it. That game hasn't been supported since Vista, basically.
Wow,
and I was like, oh my, what do I do about this? So that's like, I don't even know why they'd sell it. So we eventually had to just like turn off the sound to get it to work. That was our solution. So we played Battlefront with no sound.
Yeah. I had to reboot in a Windows and then re-download and reinstall the game. And
how'd that go for you? That worked out?
It worked.
Nice.
Except I got drunk and I went to create a peace treaty with another civilization that I was at war with, and instead of taking cities from them, I gave them cities.
What?
And I was like, whoa, they didn't even protest. Oh, shit. So I just fucking closed my laptop. I was so mad.
You rage quit.
Yeah.
I rage quit Brain Age the other day on my DS because it couldn't recognize handwriting. I was writing a 4 and it kept saying 9, and I was like, 4, and it's like 9, and it was like, then it would tell me that I'm wrong, and it goes, try harder. I was like, fuck you, fucking Brain Age. And then I made a joke with you. You were on Twitter complaining about the fact you couldn't get Civilization 5 to work. So I thought, in my ongoing harassing you with Instagram photos, I sent him an Instagram of me playing Civ 5. I loaded up Civ 5, started a game, and took a picture of it, like that first thing where it's like all fog, and just your settlers are like working their way around, like trying to find a place to build the first city. I did that, sent it to his ass. Sure enough, 5 hours later, I'm still fucking playing Civilization. I was like, how'd I get into this?
What's funny is I was in Steam still troubleshooting my install, and I saw the little pop-up, Burnie is online. Burnie started playing Civilization 5, and I was like, motherfucker. I was like, the only reason he's doing that is because I can't play it. He would not be playing Civilization 5 if I had not said, I can't play it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's like the ultimate schadenfreude. It's like, you take pleasure in it, and then you like take it a step further.
Burnie unlocked an achievement. In Civilization 5. I was so happy when it loaded it right up. I was convinced mine was not going to load.
Well, I played Ryan in Doom on a Versus episode a few weeks ago, and that was like my experience with PC games. I mean, that's where I got my initial experience with PC gaming.
That was really competitive
playing
too.
Doom. Yeah, and it's like it's weird because I haven't played the game in ages, but just to jump back in, that was the shooter that I could actually play pretty good. And so when I was challenging Ryan, it was actually a lot of fun. But we had issues trying to get it together because there was no multiplayer in Doom. Like the original copy of Doom did not. I mean, there was an IPX thing you could do, but
that's why it was like local network.
Yeah, so you could trick it.
Yeah, I totally played Doom.
And so
multiplayer.
But so basically, what it has
to
do.
Let's clarify. There was multiplayer. There
but
was
not
no
in the menu or
over
anything.
the net.
Yeah. But even like LAN multiplayer, there was nothing in the main menu. Like you'd have to run like different exe
console,
files. Yeah. But no, there was no console in Doom. Like you have to go to DOS to set it up.
Yeah, we used to do it.
There wasn't a console?
No, there was one in Quake, but not in Doom.
I remember we used to do it, and because the first levels were usually what you play on. The first level of. Yeah, anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But yeah, so ultimately. They've released the source code for Doom, so people have built like new front ends to actually play multiplayer stuff through current gen tech. So we eventually got it up and running, but it's kind of interesting that like someone had to rework the game and basically just takes the WAD file, like the map.
WAD file.
Well, it takes the map file from Doom to like make it official, and it's like okay, you're playing this map. So you have to have like a legal copy, or you have to have an official copy of Doom, which we got through Steam, and then it knew that was like a registered like authentic file, and then we're able to play whatever we wanted. So
you want to hear something silly? And
I'm looking for the Dwango 5 WAD if anyone has it.
If you have Dwango 5 WAD, send it to Jack. Awesome. I don't know if you remember this or not.
Tarantino movie?
Do you remember the machinima purists out in the world when we first started making Red vs. Blue? They said that we weren't real machinima because we were giving out video files.
Instead of WAD files.
Instead of WAD files. That's how the original machinimas were all traded. You would just send a WAD file and you had to load Doom then play the WAD file.
What was that, Doom or Quake?
It was probably Quake.
Quake, yeah. Because it was like Diary of a Camper and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I may know some of those guys that worked on some of that early stuff. Like there's something like Something Jones, like a spy thing, a spy machinima that I had some friends working on in high school. And I think that may have been some of like the precursor machinima stuff.
Yeah. Precursor?
Yeah.
We found it on the moon.
But I got to talk to my friend about that because I remember him doing that stuff and him showing me that stuff, and then I've been bumped into you guys. So
yeah, but there were people who would tell us like very pointedly, it's not a real machine.
Yeah, because I mean back then like codecs really didn't exist, and it was really difficult to distribute video. So you just transfer a small WAD file. And it's just data. The engine then reinterprets it.
So are you happy with Civ 5 now?
Yeah, except I fucking traded away half my empire in a drunken mistake. Do you think that's ever happened?
Just
like
reload.
In real political negotiations? I hadn't saved. Like I had been playing for like 4 hours and I hadn't saved. Like normally I save all the time.
Ooh, that's hubris.
Yeah.
Jesus. You get those cities back.
I was drunk.
What level are you playing on?
4.
Like Warlord?
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called.
Somewhere in there. Yeah, that is one of those games where the difficulty just goes like this, man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I got this. I guess you like go to the next one, you go to the next one, and it's like, no, fuck you.
It's like
you're getting beaten back into the Stone Age.
You settled your first city. Gandhi has nukes. You know what I mean? That's basically the way that breaks
Or it's
down.
like you see everyone go to like the medieval era, like all these other eras, and you're stuck. Fuck, I'm still like, I have one city.
Did you ever? I remember the IRC World War II. That's one of the funniest things. We won't show it on here, but go look up World War II as though it's an IRC chat room. And it's what? Have you ever seen it?
I've seen it.
It's one of the funniest things ever.
We can always put it in the link dump too.
I'm watching here. What are you playing here?
Trying to do the read for Shootmania, but I can't read what the screen says.
What do you mean?
Like I'm trying to clear off that menu so I can talk about it. Like it says "Welcome to Elite."
There's a button. There's a close button you can hit.
What does it say?
Close. It's a close button.
Or F1. F1.
I hit F1. It took me away. There we go. All right, here, read this, Jack. We're gonna do the
All
read.
right. Mr. Okay. Shootmania is a fast-paced FPS where players are on the main stage. You decide what to play and how to play it. With a wide variety of maps and gaming modes, Shootmania offers endless challenging experiences. Battle one-on-one, create a team, or participate in a tournament. It's easy to play but hard to master. Get started today at shootmania.com.
If y'all want to cut to the laptop, we can show it.
Yeah.
So it's an FPS. You can get it on Steam, but
Are you playing right now? Or
it's very. If y'all want to cut to the laptop, please. It's very reminiscent of like Quake and Quake 2, where it's like super simple. Like there's not a ton of weapons to go through. You basically have one weapon, and it's super fast paced. Basically, depending on the game mode, it's either like one-shot kills or maybe up to 3.
Yeah.
And it's like capture. Instead of like a flag, it's like capture a pole.
Yeah. I love that screen was in the game.
Yeah. It's like when you spawn, it's like it tells you the rules of what your goal is.
That's hilarious. It looks like an overlay, but it's part of the game.
That's pretty cool.
So you just move and you go.
Yeah, we actually had this at RTX at the Achievement Hunter booth.
So you see it's like a 3-on-3 game right now.
It's really cool because they're actually, it's like a camera mode, like a spectator mode, and you can watch games being played.
I love that.
Yeah, that's like a new thing that I'm really a fan of.
It is super fast, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't see, I'm not very close, and I'm playing on a trackpad, so I'm probably going to suck. So apologies.
You make an excuse already.
So I'm getting shot from behind.
Fire! Left click your trackpad.
My team's probably gonna be fucking screaming at me because I suck. So that's the one thing is like since it's like 3-on-3 or like small teams, it's like when you suck, everyone knows you suck.
Yeah.
Can you party up and play with people you know?
I just started playing today.
So you can suck collectively.
But I assume you can. I've noticed there's a.
That respawn's cool.
Yeah.
Seems to be pretty popular in France because there's a lot of people like doing team chat in French.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, like I don't know how to communicate with you guys. I'm sorry. I'll do my best.
Croissant. Shit, I don't.
Yeah, I got it on Steam, and you can also get it off their website.
You know, some of the weapons I'm seeing going off too. It reminds me of like back in the day when I used to play Unreal Tournament, and they had like the Insta-Gib mods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's not. Yeah, it's like somebody killed you in like 2 shots. It looks like there.
It's also a weird thing that I didn't notice initially, but that I realized over time is there's no blood.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you look, you don't see your own gun that you're carrying on the screen.
Oh, really?
It's just crosshair.
Oh, that's interesting. I remember a game called The Grid. There was an arcade game called The Grid. It was basically a first-person shooter. It reminds me, it's similar to this, where it's very just fast-paced. But I remember playing at Einstein's Arcade on my campus. But it's neat. It looks like fun.
Cut away from that. I'm dead.
Shootmania.
Yeah. So check it out.
Right. We'll
have a link in the link dump.
So how do you check it out? Like how would they find out?
Shootmania.com.
You can go to shootmania.com, or you can also get it on Steam.
Okay. Cool.
And it's free to play. Dude, the free to play games have gotten so good nowadays. It's like, makes me sad that, growing up you had to, there was no free to play games. There was Minesweeper.
Well, yeah, I mean, what's weird is, so the other day we were talking about how I was having trouble launching Civilization 5. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to play, League of Legends instead. And then people started, sending me tweets with other games like Smite and like, Dota 2. Well, Dota 2 I don't think is free to play. But like all these other mobile type games, I was like, wow, but a lot of them that they were sending me were free to play games. I was like, what a great time to my game that I paid for isn't working. It's like, I've got a ton of free options I could potentially explore and play.
Exactly.
We did a thing, man, this is going way back, with the Drunk Gamer site that we had, Gus had before we created Rooster Teeth. I did a column on there which was like your horse tournament, which didn't you guys shoot the last?
We have the final 4 as of today. I don't know if the last episode's up yet. So.
Okay, all right.
But anyway.
But I did this is a little bit few years ago, so it was more timely then, but I did a Survivor style tournament where they started in teams and then they went down to single and they would vote each other off and you would win immunity based on how you did in the game.
Oh, wow.
And remember how hard that was? Because I had to find games that everyone could play, a new game every week. that was free.
Yeah.
Like I remember we played Soldat. You ever played Soldat?
No.
Soldat, man, I forgot about that.
That'd be a good Let's Play game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Soldat. And then I would get like demos for Battlefield 1942, like Wake Island was one of the ones that we played.
Wake Island.
So so I was reduced to getting demos for people. It would have been great to have like a tournament with just free to play games.
I think my favorite one back then was the Soldier of Fortune 2 multiplayer demo.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun.
That was great. And then like my most popular article I ever wrote for Drunk Gamers was where I interviewed my girlfriend at the time to having her explain to me like what the game was. I didn't write the article, but I just wanted to play more Soldier of Fortune 2. So I had her explain what it was. And it was just like really funny
It was
interview.
really funny.
Yeah.
It was like my favorite response was asking, "What does GG mean?" She said it was a gangster thing, like take that G.
Take that G. I got you, G.
Like getting that outside perspective.
That's funny.
Is always really funny.
Man.
You know, should we talk about, now we talked about this on the podcast on Monday because it was more timely then, but when you talk about like that communication that goes back and forth in gaming, a big thing just went down with that where Phil Fish basically was in that rant culture that we have in online gaming, and he basically just got upset, had a little bit of a meltdown for lack of a better term, and decided to quit development on Fez 2 and he says leave gaming forever. You catch any of this at all?
I caught a little of it. This is sort of during my flights back to Austin and stuff. But yeah, it seemed like he went off on some other developer, like a developer from Cave Story or something, or I don't know what it was.
I think he was lumped in with another developer. They were both being interviewed by that Angry Gamer.
No, it's not Angry Gamer, is it?
Annoying Gamer?
Annoying Gamer.
God, I always want to call him Angry Gamer.
Angry Gamer's the guy who was like going after Major Nelson during the Xbox One stuff.
Annoying Gamer.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so I guess he just lit up on somebody, or like was it?
They kept asking him for a statement because I guess he didn't say anything about the Xbox One being able to self-publish indie games.
Yeah.
Since he's an indie game developer. So I guess since he wouldn't give a statement about it, they kept harassing him, and I think he just lost it.
So yeah, it's been interesting. Like Microsoft has really been on the offensive lately as far as the coming out and like releasing features about the Xbox One now that are like, to me it seems like the Xbox One as far as like a developer side might actually be better than the PlayStation 4.
Well, being able to self-publish is a big one.
That's a big one, but also the fact that every Xbox One is a dev kit now.
Yeah, well, it also seems very contrary to the first thing they said. Like, it didn't seem like they were saying that in order for indie developers to put a game on Xbox One, they were gonna have to have a publisher. Isn't that what it said? And then later they said, what we meant was everybody's their own publisher and everyone can put their thing out. It's like, that was then the worst way to say that, if that's the truth. I mean, it's like, the messaging with the Xbox One has just been all over the fucking place.
I don't know if that's something that changed, or if that's what they really meant the whole time. To me, it seems defensive and like they changed the policy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if that's, like Burnie said, if they just handled the messaging properly. I mean, and it's possible. I feel like they handled the DRM message poorly when that was announced during E3.
Yeah, all they say was like, we are making Steam for the Xbox One. Like, we are making a Steam type library for the Xbox One, and I think people would have handled it a lot better than what they did. Yeah. And now we're going back to the same exact.
You can't say that because you don't want to be derivative.
Yeah, but
even though a lot of stuff that goes on in video games right now is so derivative. I mean, I've always said like the worst thing to me about the Wii is that it gave us the Connect and the Move, which is just like I don't want those things.
Did you see the Wii U sales figures for Q2?
I have them right here. Yeah,
it's like what 0.16 million.
They were described as a quote unquote misery. Is the one I read.
The Wii sold more than the Wii U did in Q2 2013.
Ouch.
I want to say it was like the Wii U sold 160,000 units worldwide, and I think the Wii sold 220,000.
It was this. The worldwide sales of Wii U hardware and software were 0.16 million units hardware and 1.03 million units respectively. Second unit was software, mainly due to the release of few key first-party titles this quarter to strongly drive the hardware sales.
So which article are you
Simple math tells us Wii U is selling on average
Kotaku.
53,000 Wii U consoles each month since April. 53,000.
The thing to me is they list here in this article further down the software that they want to launch, that they're waiting for. They're like, this is what's going to save us. It's like the Wind Waker HD.
Remake.
Yeah, Super Mario 3D Land, which I think is another remake. It's like, and Pikmin 3. Which I don't think of as like a huge console mover, flagship title, and I forget what the other one was. It was like
we pulled that release schedule out for Nintendo titles, and we were both pretty upset about it.
Yeah,
it was pretty disappointing. I like the Wii U. I think the Wii U is great.
It was fun. I played it that one time. That's the only time I ever played it was that one time.
The Wario one?
Yeah, on the patch we played a little bit of Wario.
Oh, I mean, we played we did New Super Mario Brothers 2 Wii U version.
They also got to fix that.
Yeah,
that's also a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but that was a lot of fun. But then we had issues with it just because of what Nintendo does with their Let's Play stuff. Like anytime you post a video that's Nintendo first party stuff, they just claim it, and it's like, well, that's how we make money, so we're not going to do anything like that anymore.
We just won't do it. In fact, we ran into that on the patch. I brought my Wii U in, and we had it, and I said, we can't, unfortunately, show this game because our thing will end up on YouTube at some point. Did you read the latest development with that? YouTube's, you know how they tried to shut down EVO, which was the big charity tournament? There's been something since that. It's almost like Phil Fish-esque, which we should get back to if you guys want to, but the lead developer, basically the Miyamoto of Super Smash Bros. Melee, that guy, I don't know his name, unfortunately, he said that they're not putting a campaign into Super Smash Bros. When it comes out for the Wii U. And the reason that he cited is because the cutscenes are posted online after the game comes out. And the cutscenes are designed as a reward for the player for finishing the campaign. So because of that, I'm just not going to put out the campaign. Because those cutscenes taken out of context are not as good. So he just killed it.
I mean, Smash Brothers never had much of a campaign to begin with.
But it does sound like single player, right? Yeah. I mean, but why say that you're removing part of the game because of something that happens to every single piece of media in the world?
Yeah, everything gets spoiled in some form or fashion. That's nuts, man. So
I can't agree with using that as an excuse to remove it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it. Like that sucks. It's like every game will be pirated. It's like we're not going to make games anymore because they'll be pirated. It's like, well, every game is going to be pirated at some point. So that's like just a bullshit excuse.
So are they not going to have any cinematics at all then?
I'm trying. Now I'm seeing stuff that like they're going back on that and saying they will have a campaign.
Oh, okay.
So it's all this floundering like. I'm sure it's just bad messaging. That seems to be like the rallying call of 2013.
It's got to be even worse for a Japanese developer getting that bad translation.
Jesus. Yeah, we gotta stop making announcements of things. People just need to start releasing shit. Be like, oh, here you go. Here's a game. It's
make sure the announcement's fine. Make sure the messaging's correct.
Like, okay, guys, same page. We're releasing a console. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. Here's what you're gonna say. Here's your talking points. Don't stray. Oops. But. All right, well, more about this Phil Fish thing. So what's going on with this guy?
So, I went after this. I haven't downloaded Fez and played Fez. I don't know if that was relevant. I thought it might be fun to play later on for like game time or something like that. But I did go watch a movie that's based on the independent game scene called Indie Game, the movie. And it had Phil Fish, and it had Team Meat, and it had the dude that made Braid. And it was interesting. It was interesting because everything I read online, like people's comments about Phil Fish, were just that he stirs the pot constantly. He's a jerk. He's an asshole. Everyone's saying this. They were posting clips of like him being on a panel and a Japanese guy who traveled from Japan.
Oh, right.
And he said like, "What do you think of?" That's Phil Fish there.
What's your favorite Japanese game?
It's interesting. Like that's a good look for that guy too, because he's like
hipster Wolverine.
He is watching other people play his game for the first time at PAX. What was the first PAX Boston? Was that the one where everyone had the cones on their head for Plants vs. Zombie? Was that the
PAX
first?
Boston was where they had the split exhibition hall.
No, but I wonder if it was the first one. It was definitely PAX East.
It was 09, I think.
Yeah, and it was Fez. I think had been in development already for 2 or 3 years by the time he was showing it, demoing it at PAX East. It was having crashes and all that stuff. But I mean he just seems like a guy who's really, really passionate about what he's doing, his gaming, the game that he's making. And that was the tone of the entire movie. The Team Meat guys were releasing Super Meat Boy on Xbox Live Arcade while the movie was being filmed. That was really interesting to watch. And the developer of Braid, he was already a well-established hit, but was talking about like some of the feedback that he got. Phil Fish was a guy who had been recognized for awards from some early looks at Fez. They were already like starting to layer this guy with trophies, and then he went into one of those big, massive development cycles. Like I want to say it was like overall a 5-year development cycle.
Wow.
And like during the course of the movie, he's got problems with his business partner who wouldn't be in the movie, and he's all pixelated every time they show the guy, and he's trying to like get the guy like to sign out of the company before he can even show it at PAX. And so it's just like a lot of drama and turmoil. Made for a very, very compelling story to watch. And I think that anybody who's really interested in the Phil Fish story, and this is Fez here, or wants to comment on it, should probably watch that and get a better insight into the guy before they start taking to comment boards.
Is it on Netflix or anything?
I saw it on Netflix on the Xbox 360.
Okay.
That's where I saw it.
Yeah.
And Fez is like a 2D world. Like a pixel art 2D world, but then you realize it's actually 3D because the character can then like manipulate it, but you can only see like 2 of the dimensions at a time.
Yeah, you have to spin the world around. There's like 4 areas that you have to go to.
And he has a magical fez, which allows him to do that. And then the game came out. It was, I know, a critical success, and people
lots of people
liked
I know
it.
loved it.
And he was in development on Fez 2, and then this meltdown happened, and he pulled out and said he's not
I think it started a lot because there was an issue where, like, in the initial version of Fez, there was like a glitch where it would erase save games by accident. But it affected a very small percentage of users, and instead of patching it, he basically said, well, it doesn't affect enough people for me to pay $35,000 to patch my game, because I guess Microsoft gives you 1 free patch for your game, then every time you patch from there, you have to pay a fee, basically. You have to pay Microsoft. So he had already patched it once, and then instead of paying to patch it again to fix his game, he's like, it doesn't hit enough people. And so, he just left the people hanging there.
Did it ever get resolved?
I don't think so. So, or at least not on Xbox Live. I think it may have gotten fixed on Steam, but not on Xbox Live.
Wow.
Which is that's pretty shocking to me. And it like a game that takes 5 years to make for an arcade title, that seems like just way too much.
Well, it seems like if you're the kind of person who's that passionate and dedicated to getting things right, that you spend 5 years making this game, you would spend the $35,000
Yeah,
to make sure
exactly.
Because it's part of continuing that user experience.
Yeah.
You don't want. You spent so long working on the experience, then you're like, no, that's $35,000.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna bone a bunch of users in my game. But I don't know. That was kind of surprising to me. And then the game, I played the game briefly, and I had a lot of fun with it.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to play it, but I've just never gotten around back to it. I'm gonna read this thing.
Read
here.
it. Do it.
I want to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by Hulu Plus. I'm sure you've tried Hulu.com, but I want to tell you about Hulu Plus. It lets you watch thousands of hit TV shows, it lets you watch thousands of hit shows anytime, anywhere. Stream it on your TV or on the go with your smartphone or tablet. Why stand in line or ride a train and just stare at your feet? You could be watching your favorite shows on Hulu Plus. Hulu Plus is a great way to binge watch your favorite shows. Hulu Plus has a ton of great episodes from comedies like SNL, Community, Modern Family, South Park, Red vs. Blue, and thousands of other shows. And according to Ben, every episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Hulu Plus is only $7.99 a month. That's $7.99 for all the shows and movies you can watch. Catch up on current shows, binge on old favorites, or catch a great movie. You can do it all on Hulu Plus. Right now, you can try Hulu Plus for a couple of weeks free. Just go to huluplus.com/roosterteeth. So just make sure you go to huluplus.com/roosterteeth, or there should be a banner ad on our website you can click to take you there and try it out. You get 2 weeks for free.
Sweet.
If you have not tried it, definitely try it. It's built into a lot of TVs. You can get it on the 360. You can get it on the PS3. You can get it on your iPad, or your iPhone. I mean, it's like literally you can take it with you and watch anywhere.
They also, I'm looking here on Hulu.com, on the front page, they feature video game trailers.
Oh.
Specifically, like the 4 they have here are for the new Bioshock Infinite DLC,
I'm excited.
the one that's coming. Grand Theft, we'll get back to that in a
Yes.
second. Grand Theft Auto 5, Destiny, and Saints Row 4 are all in there. Trials Fusion.
No,
Hey.
wow.
Yeah, so
DuckTales.
Yeah, there's a remastered DuckTales coming up.
Yeah.
So trailers on there as well. So for video games, not just TV and movies, but also video game content as well.
I did not know they had that there.
That is cool.
Assassin's
So,
Creed Black Flag
we should
trailer.
talk about Buried at Sea, or do you want to talk about the new DLC that just came out? How much time do we have?
We got like 12 minutes still.
All right.
Wow.
Do you want to talk
I'm
about?
going to back my shit up here though for a second. Though. I feel compelled to do that.
Back your shit up.
So this is from VG247 article. Super Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U won't contain a story mode or cutscenes. Speaking in his bi-weekly column in Weekly Famitsu, people are already making fun of me in Twitter for not being able to pronounce Japanese names. So you correct me on the fly here.
Miyamoto.
Miyamoto. Thank you. What did I say? Miyamoto. The creator of Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Melee
Smash Brothers
said the reason the latest iteration in the fighting series will skip out on these extras is due to the cutscenes being uploaded on the internet. Quote, unfortunately,
Wait, how are these extras?
the movie scenes we worked hard to create were uploaded onto the internet. You can only truly wow a player for the first time he sees a cutscene. I felt if players saw the cutscenes outside of the game, they would no longer serve as rewards for playing the game, so I've decided against having them.
Well, it seems like that's
a take my ball and go home attitude.
That's the way you play the game, or that's the way you enjoy it. That's not necessarily the way everyone enjoys it.
Yeah. You're punishing your fan base by doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, because the people who are going to be excited for the game are going to buy it, early, play it through, and get to see those.
So his comments were a little ambiguous. Were they leaked?
No, I think that he's saying that in the past they have done that.
Yeah, it's gotten uploaded.
He knows they're going to get uploaded, so I'm not going to include them.
But then you see people like Monty, like all they do is just watch gameplay, or like they'll watch full plays of games at their desk while they're working.
But then from his rationale, it's like that's a lost sale.
Yeah, but I mean, like someone,
Oh, the classic example of piracy.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, are the people who are going to just go and spoil the game for themselves, or are they going to buy the game anyway? So
I mean, does any developer have the notion that their game is just there to be watched? I don't think anyone is making games for people just to watch them be played.
No, otherwise they'd
make movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then or just record themselves playing their game. That's all they put out on DVD. But it's too bad, and unfortunately, because we can't show a lot of the stuff, this thing that Nintendo keeps doing about pulling all this stuff down is, our podcast does end up on YouTube, and so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, which we're not going to be able to show, is Street Pass. You got hooked on Street Pass at PAX Australia, and I'm so friggin' happy about it.
I didn't necessarily get hooked on Street Pass.
What the fuck? You were so hooked.
I'm going to clarify.
You were so
I have not
hooked.
touched it again since then. My thought was this, I know you're getting a lot of people you're meeting on Street Pass.
Yeah.
And so if I ever want to become interested in it, I don't want you to be so far out of reach that I can't keep up.
That's
so
not the way it
I was
works.
processing them.
That's not the way it
Now
works.
I haven't looked at it at all. I don't care.
But let me tell you, Street Pass is not something that you can ever we don't compete with one another.
Right, but I want to get as many people as you have.
Why?
So-
Why?
Why not? That's how I play the game.
Yeah.
That's winning to me.
How many people do I have?
You had like 200 more than I did.
Yeah, I got about 600
I'm at
people in
400.
there. For you?
Yeah.
I know a guy that works in it.
You guys were like sitting there the whole time just picking up
You only
Street
do 10
Passes.
at a time.
But still, you were sitting there like hitting it over and over again, I
Look,
thought.
we won't get into Street Pass. I mean, it
All
sucks
right.
to be able to talk about a game and not be able to show it. So it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. But they did a classic thing, which they do with a lot of mobile games, is that I think that they've broken it by updating it. They added 4 new games into Street Pass, which you pay up to $15, or actually all the way to 20. But if you buy all 4 together, you get it for about $15. And 4 new games for Street Pass, and it just, like you said, it adds to that maintenance level of Street Pass, where it's like you get 10 people, then I got to take them now through 6 different games.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's the reason I didn't get them.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm just sticking with what I got.
The classic example that we talked about before is Doodle Jump. When they started updating Doodle Jump on the iPhone.
It's like 9 or 10 different screens now you can play on Doodle Jump.
Yeah.
So,
and it's
like
just
different versions of
and
the
they added
game.
bosses and all that
Yeah.
other stuff. So anyway, I'm off the charts here.
All right, we should talk about the Bioshock stuff before we get out of here.
So the interesting thing to me about that was that they released DLC without any warning, and then announced their next DLC.
Yeah.
You say no warning. I agree it was no warning. They seemed to drop it. But what they did was they said, because people were starting to complain about the lack of DLC, and they sold season passes, they said DLC will be out by the end of July. So that was the date that they said. That was the line in the sand they drew. And then all of a sudden this DLC drops, and then they also put out a trailer.
For their next DLC.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is a 2-parter, right?
Yeah, it's 2-parter.
Buried at Sea?
Buried at Sea, and then I think the second part you play as Elizabeth. So that's interesting.
So the first one, I don't even know, what's the first one called?
Clash in the Clouds.
Clash in the Clouds.
Yeah.
It's essentially Horde mode?
I have it up right here, yeah.
So I haven't played it yet, so I don't know what it's about.
You want to go to the Xbox, Brandon? We can show people. So basically, this is it. It's you have like a lobby here,
Elizabeth.
and then you have these 4 arenas. This is the one you start with, and then you can unlock these other ones.
How do you unlock them?
It's like there's a cash system. You'll see I have cash in the bottom left-hand corner there, and then the way you get cash is by completing the rounds, and then there's these blue ribbons that you can get by completing the rounds in a certain way. Like this first blue ribbon is the most annoying one, where you have to kill all the enemies with skyline strikes, where you jump off a skyline and hit them.
Jesus.
And it's not so bad. It's great to have an easy to get blue ribbon, but then when you subsequently go through all those levels in like a horde mode style fashion, you're just annoyed by the fact you constantly have to do that every single time to get the best possible score.
Yeah.
And then you have like online rankings. It's basically horde mode, and I didn't show you here. Brandon, cut back. I'll show you what's in this other room. Then in here, there's a museum which has all these collectibles you can unlock, and there are some small. I won't ruin stuff here. If you're really worried about what the collectibles look like, you can look away here. But
That's
like,
it, you've ruined the experience.
Oh, God.
Kinectoscopes, but they're really simple stuff like models from the game. Like here's the Booker model, here's Comstock. There's a bunch of Elizabeth models.
A bunch of Elizabeths?
Yeah, there's like 4 of them.
Why are there 4 of them?
Because it's old Elizabeth. Oh, spoiler. And then some other Elizabeths. And then you get the Lutesses. And there is some more like, what are they called? Vodaphones? What are they called? The Vox phones. Yeah, Vox phones. So there's a little bit more story that gets communicated in this thing.
Yeah.
But basically, the bulk of it is just going through these levels and fighting wave after wave of the enemies.
So just grinding out horde mode.
Yeah, I'll start to play it here, so you can take a look at it if you want to.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the thing that I got excited by was the trailer for the next DLC.
That's what everybody got excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand why they didn't hype this one and they waited to release it with a trailer for the next one. Because if I bought a season pass, they're like, hey, look, this is your DLC, I'd be like, fuck you. Fuck you so much. It's just like, you're just adding in horde mode, which most games that have horde mode ship with.
Yeah. So,
I'm always conscious about having my gamer face, which is just like staring straight ahead.
Yeah, everyone latched on to that Buried at Sea trailer.
Yeah.
Well, it is kind of, it almost feels like a little bit like a bait and switch kind of a thing, because you know, I said the DLC's I didn't really enjoy the DLC. I didn't think it was worth the download. I have a season pass in Bioshock because I needed it to finish 1999 mode. There's some bonuses that really help you do that, which sucked. But I was never an enormous fan of the massive combat scenes, like fighting the Sirens or fighting Lady Comstock.
the Sirens are bastards.
Yeah, they're bastards. And so like this game is like a lot of that. I'm kind of playing on the fly here.
I hated the Lady Comstock battle.
Actually be played. I read a meme the other day, which was, no matter what game you're playing, everyone does the same. And it was like, kill a guy, reload. And it's absolutely true. I do that every single time. So then I finished a wave here, and then I'll go back in the lobby, and I can reselect my weapons and find out what my new blue ribbon challenge is.
Oh, so you just have to do like one wave with the Skyhook, for example?
There's something about like...
Yes.
Like one... Like,
that's not quite so bad.
Oh.
So one wave, the first wave, 5 enemies. It does tell you how many enemies you have left, and then my next blue ribbon challenge is defeat the wave while only taking shield damage. That's the second one. Okay. Then you get up to stuff like only use these certain vigors, only use a certain kind of weapon, don't get any headshots, kill a handyman without ever getting a heart shot. That sucks. You know, that's a big way to bring it down there, that big heart in the middle of their chest. But it's horde mode. And I made the comment on Twitter last night that, you know, it seems like everyone's moving away from horde mode, and I was amazed to see that Bioshock, which is not really a combat-driven game, it's more of a story-driven game, that they went with a horde mode style DLC.
Even Gears of War doesn't have a horde mode anymore. They have the beast mode, which is you're playing as the enemies, but yeah.
Do you consider, somebody pointed out to me, and I have to acknowledge it did make me think about it, you know, because Halo had Firefight, and then nothing else after ODST had Firefight. I mean, I'm sorry, after Reach. And then they moved away from it. But actually, do you consider Spartan Ops to be horde mode?
No.
No.
You don't?
No, because it's like a bigger level. Like I figure like horde mode and firefight, it thinks you're like bunkered down.
Yeah.
Spartan Ops is like you go through these levels. It's more of a linear story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I think horde mode almost like zombie mode.
I did have to pause and think about it when they said that.
Yeah.
When somebody pointed that out.
No, because there's actual like objectives and stuff you have to get through in the Spartan Ops.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Spartan Ops to me are like the Spec Ops in Modern Warfare. Like that's some of my favorite Call of Duty.
I like those too.
Ops.
Yeah, I did like those.
I will say I was not crazy about that Buried at Sea trailer.
Why not?
I was not crazy about seeing them revisit Rapture.
Why?
I feel like
Rapture's so cool. It's such a cool
Rapture
environment.
is cool. Rapture is done. That story.
Really?
This is the prequel of Rapture, though. Like apparently this is
Star Wars Episode 1 is the prequel to Star Wars Episode 4.
Well,
like just saying because something's a prequel doesn't make it fucking cool. That's the stupidest argument I've ever
You're
heard.
saying it's done. They're going to the beginning of it.
So fucking
It's like, because that's the defense? No, it's before. It's a prequel. What?
No, this is cool because like when you step into Rapture, shit's already gone down, right? Like it's already bad.
Yeah, you're
we're gonna find out what happened and why it's
You
gone
know what
bad.
happened.
What happened?
Do you know you're gonna find that out? You're hoping you find
No, like on his desk, on Booker's desk is the date. It's December 31st, 1959, and the early 1960s when Rapture got capped or sacked. So that's when it's all going to go down. So you're going to see that. You're going to be a part of it.
I just don't want to retouch that story because that was my complaint with Bioshock 2, was that it went back to the same setting.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was done. That's one of the things that excited me most about Infinite was that it's a new setting.
Yeah.
It's not going back and rehashing stuff or retrofitting story into a story that's already been told.
Well, I have a feeling it's probably going to take place partially on Rapture and partially in what's the name of the Cloud City?
Columbia?
Columbia, yeah, I'm sure because like they have, with the twins or whatever, being able to bounce back and forth in different dimensions, the whole multi-universe thing, super spoilers.
Yeah, people are correcting you what Columbia is online, but I think Jack's just trying to avoid spoilers as to what Columbia is versus Rapture.
Yeah.
So calling it a prequel is the best way to describe that for people who haven't played the game.
Well, I mean, even Columbia takes place well before Rapture exists, right? Like Columbia,
year-wise, yes.
Well, but it's
yeah. So anyway, but we're bouncing around and stuff, but. I don't know. I think it's going to be cool. I like the idea of Ken Levine getting to revisit Rapture. Like, that's going to be neat to me. Like, I have a feeling that Irrational's
going to... You got to recognize that people love Rapture.
I do. I love Rapture.
Right. Damn it. So did you like other points in this franchise when you revisited Rapture? I know you didn't like it in Bioshock 2, but at other points?
No.
Really?
No, I hated it.
Oh, really? Okay, fair enough.
Oh, man. I thought it was such a cool little nod.
No, terrible.
I liked it, too. I personally liked it a lot. And there was a lot of stuff in the game that I didn't connect with, but I did like that.
Yeah.
I know I stand kind of alone on that kind of stuff. I feel like I'm done. It was like, I hold that game in such high regard, and I feel like it's done.
The first Bioshock.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want stuff going back and fucking with it and ruining my memory and potentially ruining something that's already good.
Did you see the comparison shot of the intro of Infinite versus Bioshock? Where it was like, at one point you're in the elevator, you're starting and just kind of showing off like how awesome the city is. And it basically mirrors, like Rapture and Columbia mirror each other as far as the intro goes. At one point when you're in Rapture, there's like a blue whale, like goes across some clouds and stuff. In Columbia, it's a blimp, and it mirrors the exact same path that the whale does.
So what the hell happened to Bioshock 2? What happened there?
I think they just wanted a sequel. I think 2K wanted money out of it.
Yeah, it was a different studio.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, I think they just...
It was 2K Marin, I think, made that.
Well, and see, here's the problem that we have. Like, we were talking about Star Control 2 earlier. A lot of games get hurt by the era in which they are put out because they have to, like, be marketed in the way that everything else is marketed. Star Control 2 is a game we both loved. Star Control 3, there is a sequel to it that was terrible because it came out in the era of full motion video on CD-ROM and all that, right?
Is Mark Hamill in it?
No, it's not. No, neither is the dude from Indiana Jones. But the, what's his name? The guy who played Gimli. John Rhys Davies. Yeah, he was in a bunch of those as well.
I'm just thinking of Sewer Shark now. That's all I can think about.
Yeah, or Night Trap.
Night Trap. Jesus.
But I think we have that now. We're in the era of DLC. A lot of games, I think Half-Life 2 got derailed by the fact that it came out during episodic content.
Yeah.
When episodic content was a huge fucking deal. And then it really kind of like threw the whole Half-Life franchise off, and now we've been waiting almost 10 years for another sequel.
Is there any episodic game that came out that actually did well other than Walking Dead? Can you think of one that did really well?
You mean the Walking Dead's only been through 2 iterations? I don't even know how well the second.
I thought it was 5 episodes of Walking Dead.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that did pretty well. If you look at it, like the first chapter was 5, or the first story was 5 chapters.
I know there was a Back to the Future game that did. There
were some Sam & Max ones.
No, you're right. You're definitely right. I would call Walking Dead a success of the episodic model.
But other than that, but I mean, has there been any huge episodic game that did well?
Listen, I loved the Penny Arcade game. I thought it was great. That was an episodic game. It didn't make it with the developer. It didn't make it through the first 2.
Yeah, they made
they made 2 with the first developer, and then they've made 3 and 4 with a different developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was even talk at one point they were going to turn it into a graphic novel to finish it out and stuff like that. So
yeah, I think they ended up finishing it with this new developer.
Yeah.
New style.
And it seems like now we're moving from the Kickstarter era or the DLC era into the Kickstarter era, where they want you to pay for everything in advance and maybe you'll see a game. Yeah. But when you look at like the DLC era, I was going to say is that like there's games that are very popular and very well done and critically acclaimed. The 2 best examples that I can think of are Bioshock Infinite, regardless of what you think of it or I think of it. People loved it. It was a story, and it was definitely an encapsulated story. Like, this is the story. Mass Effect 3 was another one of those, where it's like, when you saw through the end of Mass Effect 3, it was a completion of the story. And then like, okay, now that we're done with that, let's make DLC for it. And people are like, there's not much left that we can do at this point. It's like, where do we go from there? It's like, what would they do with Bioshock Infinite DLC?
Well,
it might be a game that'd be better off just going, that's the game.
Well, I mean,
it's done. You know what I mean?
The thing with Bioshock, especially with Bioshock, it's hard to talk about with this getting into heavy spoilers on it, but I think they've left room open for other interpretations of it.
Infinite room.
Hey, boo. So yeah, so I understand them being able to do something, and I'm wondering if maybe Buried at Sea is going to be an interpretation of like.
Did they announce a release date for that, or did they just say it's coming
yet.
soon?
But it's a two-parter, and the first part you play as Booker, the second part you play as Elizabeth, and there's a piece of art with Elizabeth holding a little girl and like firing a weapon, which is like, oh, it's a little sister. Like that's kind of cool. So I wonder if we're gonna see like Big Daddies or anything.
Yeah, in the
like
trailer
that.
they showed the little sisters like in a classroom.
Oh yeah, they alternate ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's supposedly that woman was a character from Bioshock 2. Whose name I forget.
She was the big sister, right? Or is she the one who made the big sisters?
Because the big sister in the game was a little sister who escaped and came back, right?
Or we're getting into deep story territory here.
Time. We got to wrap.
The big sister was a whatever.
So I do think it's interesting that they put out a DLC that was almost like. Honestly, I feel like they should have named this DLC Delay Tactic, because that's essentially what it was. It was like, we had this July deadline, we got to hit it. Here's this DLC. If you like Bioshock, you'll probably like it. I get really frustrated by just endless horde mode stuff because
you can't even do multiplayer, right?
You can't even do multiplayer. Jesus. So it's all single player. I mean, they have leaderboards, which are like the lowest level of multiplayer that you can get. Yeah, it's like I got frustrated by it. I have a season pass, so it didn't cost me anything to download it. It's also a 1.4 gig download, which caught me by surprise.
For the models,
I don't know. I mean,
you think the models are built in? I wonder if that's maybe preloaded stuff for the next DLC.
All 4 arenas are very similar to one another. I mean, the environments are cool because the environments in Bioshock Infinite are fucking badass. You can't argue with that. And if you really, really, really liked the combat in Bioshock Infinite and you walked away from that game going, wow, what a great shooter. Yeah, you should probably get the DLC, but maybe you're like...
You may have also missed the point.
99% of the people and like the story more than anything else, and maybe you should wait for Burial at Sea. Okay. That would be my recommendation.
All right.
I think we went over, Gus.
We're wrapping up. I did a bad job of managing our time.
Well, that's why it's not called the Gaming Hour anymore.
All right, well, we'll fix it later. All right, well, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next week with another episode.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.